afternoon, advisors, chairs, and delegates. My name is Ayalde, and I am the Secretary General for this conference. Along with the entire team, I'm honored to welcome you all here. Today, we have been discussing the problems facing our world. This is not unprecedented. As World War II was about to end, the world wanted peace. In 1945, 15 countries gathered together in San Francisco to create the United Nations. What we are doing here is a natural continuation of the spirit of the delegates who create the United Nations. MUN is not only an educational activity, but also a human right. It is undeniable that all people, regardless of their socioeconomic status, to have access to education. Education is a pathway out of poverty for millions in developing countries. And I am both pleased and impressed to be surrounded by so many bright and inspirational young people that have come here to make a difference. It speaks highly of all of you that there are 1,002 million youngsters in the world, and it's you making the effort to make a difference. You are here to make an impact, and you will be the change makers of tomorrow. Let me offer you a very special welcome this afternoon and say what a tremendous honor it's for us to have you all here. After this unprecedented year, let us come together to participate once again in Model United Nations. Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you a very fruitful General Assembly ahead.
Hello? Okay. Thank you, delegates. We will shortly begin with the first resolution. There it goes. On the question of single-sex education. We will not be required to do a roll call, so please, the submitter of this resolution, come here and deliver your 2-minute long speech in favor. You can go ahead, delegate.
Fellow delegates, honorable chairs, and distinguished guests, it is an honor for the delegates of Canada and Italy to put forward as co-sponsors a resolution on the question of single-sex education. These two countries, as well as the signatories of this resolution, have thought long and hard to come up with tangible and implementable solutions to ensure that all countries remain on target to reach Sustainable Development Goal 4. This is of vital importance because SDG 4 was adopted by all UN member states and aims to achieve quality education for all. These countries will always stand by the right to access free education for all, regardless of their socioeconomic status, fostering a culture of inclusion for students. All the delegations which have participated in the drafting of this resolution believe that the concrete measures outlined in this document will make a positive impact on the world, and therefore urge all other delegations to vote in favor of this resolution. These delegates look forward to finding meaningful solutions to this issue during a fruitful debate. Thank you.
There we go. Okay. Thank you very much for that speech, delegate. Are you open to any points of information?
Any and all.
Delegate will now be entertaining any and all points of information. Any country or delegation wishing to make a point of information, please do raise your placards now. Since there are no points of information in the room, do you wish to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegation?
Back to the chair.
Thank you. You may now yield the floor back to the chair and go to your seat. All right, delegates, after this speech, the floor is now in open debate for the resolution as a whole. I believe we can all see it more or less. So the floor is now in open debate. Any delegation wishing to deliver a speech for or against this resolution, please raise your placards now. We need at least one speech for or against this resolution. Is there no delegation wishing to make any speech for or against this resolution as a whole? We all need to participate. Well, since General Assembly is not willing to deliver any speech for or against this resolution as a whole, then I just guess we must move to voting procedure. So admins, please stop passing notes and adopt your voting positions. Admins, come on. Okay, thank you. Carla. Voting position. Thank you. Okay. Any delegation wishing to vote for this resolution, please raise your placards now. Thank you, delegates. Order, please. You may now lower your placards. Right, any delegation wishing to vote against this resolution, please raise your placards now. Okay, with 13 votes against and 13 votes for, we need to do a motion to divide the House. We need to revote again until this resolution passes. There will be no abstentions, and we have now entered closed debate then. We need to do this. Nobody's delivering speeches. We will now repeat the voting procedure because we need to vote for this with no abstentions. And after that, if there is a tie again, then some delegation will have to explain the vote. Admins, again, please adopt your voting positions, and we will now vote again. Any delegation wishing to vote for this resolution, please raise your placards now. Thank you, lower your placards. Any delegation wishing to vote against this resolution, please raise your placards now. Delegation of Indonesia, please stand up and explain your vote.
The Delegation of Indonesia thinks that this resolution doesn't agree with our thoughts about the education, because we think that as a Muslim and Islamic country, that girls doesn't have to have any education.
Thank you very much, Delegation of Indonesia. Has any country abstained from voting? Well, since there have been no abstentions, no speeches for, no speeches against, then we might as well move from this resolution, because evidently the General Assembly is not interested in this resolution. So we might, yes, Delegation of Australia, you've been recognized. Oh, it's a point of information, I guess, so we just stand up. Thank you, Delegation of Australia. You've been recognized. Please now take the floor and deliver your 2 or 3 minute long speech for this resolution.
Okay, I think that if at the end of the day there is no voting for this resolution, it will be unrespectful. The delegate of Canada has made an amazing job to try to help the world, and we are not helping the world by voting against the resolution. That might be the reason why, but I am voting in favor of this resolution. So I urge everybody that cares about education, not only in developed countries, but also in underdeveloped countries, to vote in favor of this resolution.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much, Delegate of Australia. Is it, no, please stay there. Is the delegate open to any points of information?
No.
Thank you. Do you wish to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegation?
To the chair.
Thank you very much. The floor is now in open debate after Australia's speech. Is there any delegation, and please say there is, willing to make a speech for or against this resolution as a whole? Oh, we certainly have a good General Assembly today. Well then, after this speech, as the chair, I'm obliged to repeat the voting process to say our admins, please stop passing notes and adopt your voting positions. Okay, so we'll repeat the voting procedure. Please let it be the last time after this wonderful speech. Any delegation wishing to vote for this resolution, please raise your placards now. Thank you, delegates. You may now lower your placards. Now, the delegations wishing to vote against this resolution as a whole, please do raise your placards now. And, okay, you lower your placards. And any delegation wishing to abstain, please raise your placards now. Thank you, delegates. So, with 15 votes for, 11 against, and 0 abstentions, this resolution has passed and clapping is in order. Delegates, order, please. Order, please. We will now move to the second resolution on the topic of pollution caused by transport, submitted by the Youth Committee number 1. Please, the delegation of Portugal, come and deliver your 2 or 3 minute long speech.
Dear delegates, esteemed chair and distinguished guests, this resolution is an effective one because not only does it help improve our world's environment, but it also is a step forward to fight against poverty, creating more train and bus stations. This resolution helps our world reducing pollution due to the decrease it will suppose in the number of lorries. Road transport is one of the activities which pollutes the most. As an alternative, they can use some other means of transport, such as maritime routes. Also, using more non-polluting transports, such as the bicycles and public transport like the bus and the underground. Instead of using traditional fossil fuel, we can change it to some fuels which don't pollute as much as the petrol, such as the electric, hydrogen, biodiesel, or ethanol energy sources. We want to increase the salaries of the scientists to make better and faster the investigations of non-contaminating oil, so as to find faster the method to avoid the pollution. Having discovered this new non-contaminating oil, we are going to put it on sale so that the people can use it.
With the years, we are going to put taxes to people that don't use it, so they have to use it compulsory. We believe this is a good resolution to tackle the issue, so we ask the delegates to vote in favor of it.
Thank you, Delegate. Now, is the Delegate of Portugal open to any points of information?
No.
Thank you, Delegate. Do you wish to yield the floor back to the Chair or back to another delegation?
To the Delegation of Niger.
Delegation of Niger, you've been recognized. Do you accept the yield? I guess you do, so please come take the floor.
This delegate is going to focus on the third clause because all the countries return out have to make it easier to the poor people living in the suburbs or of cities to go by public transport instead of their own cars. Therefore, building more train and bus stations so they cut off their expenses by using it to instead of a personal car, which consumes more money and also pollutes more. Also encourage to all governments to advertise in all media to not using their own cars. As we know, the public transport pollutes less than if we take it our own cars. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your speech, Delegate. Please stay there. Now, is the Delegate open to any points of information?
No.
Thank you, Delegate. You may now return to your seat. No, there's no yielding after one. Okay. So the floor is now in open debate. And a delegation wishing to deliver a speech either for or against this resolution, please raise your placards now. Delegation of Jordan, you've been recognized. Please come take the floor.
So, dear delegates, the Jordan delegation believes that this resolution, even if the Portuguese delegation had good intentions, is useless, basically because of 2 points. First of all, in many countries, for example in the Arab countries League, we have problems even to feed our own population. We don't know if using the money that we should be using to give food to our people should be used just to change our energy sources with electric, hydrogen, biodiesel or ethanol sources. Apart of that, all this if you see the operative clause point 2, if we see the point A, talks about private companies who decrease their reliance on lorries and focus on less polluting means of good of transport, which is a move some enterprises such as UPS have already started doing by using bicycle-based transports. This delegate would like to know how they plan, UPS for example, to send a package from USA to Spain in, for example, bicycle. We think that there is no sense on this, and we also think that wasting money on this is useless.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Now, is the Delegate open to any points of information?
Any and all.
Thank you, Delegate. Now, the Delegate will be entertaining any and all points of information. Any delegation wishing to make the points of information, please raise your placards now. Delegations of Norway and Portugal, you've been recognized in that order.
We don't know if maybe this resolution could help, for example, countries as the United States. We don't know. But the fact is that those countries have reached the economic level thanks to fossil fuels, for example, the petrol. So we think that letting us without the opportunity of reaching that economic level is unfair, and it shouldn't be it shouldn't be done.
Thank you, Delegate. Portugal, you've been recognized. Please stand up and make your point of information.
You have said that you can't go take something from Spain to the United States by bicycle, but if you see in the point number 2, the third point says marine transport, ready-flows and cargo ships, which is, for example, for that thing which you have said.
Okay, I'm going to
Delegate of Portugal, that is not a question. You may rephrase your question, please.
What will you say about it?
Well played.
Okay, maybe my last example wasn't the best one, but this delegate is going to give you another example. I urge you to try to send a package by bike from Washington to Canada, for example. Would the delegate of Portugal do that in a bicycle? Wouldn't be more useful to do it in a, for example, in a lorry?
Is the delegate requesting a motion to follow up? Okay, that will be granted.
We have seen the point 1, the 3, and if you see the second one, it says also commercial flights for those things that are very big to do it by bicycle.
¿Se puede preguntar o no? No puedo preguntar.
For the second time, Delegate of Portugal, that's not a question. You may rephrase it.
So why don't we use the commercial flights to do those things like to go from Washington to Canada?
Maybe the delegate of Portugal doesn't know this, but the fact is that a commercial flight produces more contamination than a lorry journey from Washington to Canada. Maybe they could take it into account.
Thank you, Delegate. Do you yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegation?
Back to the chair.
Thank you. You may now take your seat. The floor is now in open debate, and a delegation wishing to deliver a speech for or against this resolution, you may raise your placards now. Delegation of South Sudan? Yes, you've been recognized. Please come take the floor.
There are many countries in this room that live thanks to the petrol, and if we stop, using the petrol for transport, these countries will enter in a hunger, and in economical crisis, like the Arabic states or some African countries that live thanks to the petrol.
Is that all, Delegate?
Yeah.
Thank you. Is the delegate now open to any points of information?
No.
Do you wish to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegation?
For the delegation of Australia.
Does the delegation of Australia accept the yield? You've been recognized. Please come deliver your speech. 1 minute maximum.
Australia will always fight against pollution, but there is something that remains unclear in this resolution. What is going to happen with those countries that depend mainly on petrol? Unfortunately, as this is not a complete resolution, the delegate of Australia won't be voting in favor of this resolution. So it also encourages other countries to do the same, or to the delegate of Portugal to make the resolution more clear and more complete.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Is the delegate of Australia open to any points of information?
No.
You may yield the floor back to the chair. Thank you. The floor is now in open debate, and a delegation wishing to deliver a speech exclusively for this resolution, please do raise your placards now. Are there any delegations not wishing to deliver a speech for this resolution? If there are none, we will simply call a delegation to deliver a speech for, since we need one. So I will repeat. If there are any delegations wishing to make a speech for this resolution, please raise your placards now. Delegation of Germany, you've been recognized. Please come deliver your speech for this resolution.
So I'm in favor because this delegate, known as Germany, is one of those countries who pollutes the most because their industries. But Germany is one of the most exported countries for Europe, so the industries are indispensable. And also Germany has a part of eco-friendly, so I'm in favor of.
Please refrain from using personal pronouns. Refrain from using personal pronouns. Thank you, Delegate. You may continue your speech. You may continue your speech. Refrain from using personal pronouns such as I, you.
Yes. um, uh, and
Is your speech over, Delegate? Then are you open to any points of information?
No.
Do you wish to yield the floor back to the chair or back to another delegation?
Back to the tour.
You may now take your seat, Delegate.
Thank you.
The floor is now in open debate. Any delegation wishing to make a speech for or against this resolution, please do raise your placards now. Don't make it boring. Come on, it's mini-MUN. Nobody's going to bite you. Okay, thank you. Delegation of Canada, you've been recognized. Please deliver your speech.
Honorable chairs, fellow delegates, and distinguished guests, even though the delegation of Canada can see that certain clauses could be made clearer, it still believes that the spirit that has been shown by this resolution put forward by the delegation of Portugal should still be commended, and it outlines some very important steps that could help in phasing out fossil fuels, and therefore it would urge all other delegations to vote in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Now, is the Delegate open to any points of information?
One.
Thank you. The Delegate will be now entertaining one point of information. Okay, Delegation of Jordan, you've been recognized. Please show your placard. Okay.
Does the delegate of Canada know that her own country have reached the economical level that it has, thanks to fossil fuels and to industrialization?
The delegation of Canada understands this point, but it would also like to note that Canada has taken part in the diversification of its economy and therefore no longer relies exclusively on fossil fuels and industries to support its GDP.
Motion to follow up.
That will be granted. Granted.
Does the delegate of Canada know that if this resolution is accepted, many countries of for example, the Arab League of Nations wouldn't have the opportunity that Canada had in the 19th century to reach that economical level?
The delegation of Canada understands that point, delegates of Jordan, but it still believes that this resolution would be better than no resolution at all, and would still like to urge all other countries to vote in favor of it.
Thank you, Delegate. Do you yield the floor back to the chair, back to another delegate?
Back to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. You may now take your seat. The floor is now in open debate again. Any delegation wishing to make a speech for or against this resolution as a whole or any point, we encourage you to do so. Also, if you want to submit any amendments, we still haven't received any, so we also encourage you to amend or at least take part. Now, is any delegation wishing to make a speech for or against this resolution? Come on, delegates. Well, so as to not make him boring, we will just, okay, thank you. Saudi Arabia, you've been recognized.
Distinguished guests, today we're discussing the topic of the question of pollution caused by transport. Okay, it's going to be strange that a country like such as Saudi Arabia, that we are the #1 exports in the world of petrol, of gas, we're going to defend a resolution to reduce emissions. Well, it's not Saudi Arabia's fault that we are so rich. This country just happen to be sitting on a large amount of resources. If they happen to be under, they will be defending this point of view too. We have so much money that we can't even waste some of it on important things such as reducing emissions or climate change. Also, Saudi Arabia introduced the ambient air standard in 2012 so as to reduce harmful pollutants in the air. Some provinces of Saudi Arabia have developed plans to reduce and environmental air pollution, such as General Department of Traffic has implemented periodic vehicle inspections, and also General Agency of Roads is improving roads to improve traffic flow, which helps with pollution. This data from the Taibach University show that these measures are indeed working. So we encourage all the countries in this chamber to vote in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Are you open to any points of information?
Yeah.
Any and all. Okay, the delegate will now be entertaining any and all points of information, and a delegation wishing to make a point of information, please raise your placards now. Instead of, anyways. Delegation of Australia have been recognized. You may now make your point of information.
Where is Saudi Arabia going to get money if Saudi Arabia can't buy the petrol or even use it?
Can you rephrase the question, John?
Where is the delegate? From where is Saudi Arabia going to obtain the money they need to develop their country if they won't be using their own petrol and I assume won't be selling it to other countries?
Yeah. The delegate of Saudi Arabia says that we're not going to reduce all the petrol, all the gas of the country. We're going to try to reduce emissions. That is not the same. We will continue to export to other countries because it's impossible to not get things, because to export to other countries we need like new technologies, and nowadays we don't have it. We don't have planes that go to another country with electric things. It's impossible. We will try to reduce our emissions, but we're also going to export, and we're going to be the #1 of the world. Yeah. Yeah.
That will be granted.
Yeah, like I have told you, we're going to export also gas to.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Do you wish to yield the floor back to the chair to another delegation? Back to the chair to another delegation.
I would like to yield back to the chair to Indonesia.
Thank you. Oh, Indonesia?
Yeah.
Okay, Indonesia, do you accept the yield? Do you accept it? Then you've been recognized.
The delegation of Indonesia wants the member state to vote in favor of this resolution. Same as Saudi Arabia, we export mineral fuels. However, we think that it's important to combat climate change, global warming, so we think that we all must reduce those emissions. That's all.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Now, is the delegate open to any points of information? The delegate will now entertain any and all points of information. Any delegation wishing to make at least one point of information, please do raise your placards now. Delegation of North Korea, you've been recognized.
No, I'm not saying to diversify economy.
Again, refrain from using personal pronouns.
Okay, sorry. No, the delegate is not saying to diversify economy or to quit the petroleum industry, for example. It's saying that we must reduce emissions, and that means that member states should use less petroleum or less gas, but not quit petroleum or gas. So I think that, the delegate thinks that those countries such as Saudi Arabia must reduce maybe the exports, but not quit at all.
Thank you, Delegate. Do you Oh, Delegation of Jordan. Is there a motion to extend points of information by one? Okay, I guess that's nothing. Thank you, Delegate. Let's yield the floor back to the chair. You can go to your seats, thank you. The floor is now in open debate. We will be entertaining one last speech for or against this resolution before moving to voting procedure. Any country wishing to deliver a speech for or against this resolution as a whole, please raise your placards now. Delegation of Norway or Jordan? No, Delegation of Norway, you've been recognized.
Dear delegates, I think, this delegation recommends all of you to vote in favor of this resolution to end pollution by traffic means. You can take Norway as an example. By 2030, we plan to not pollute with traffic. So I think countries like Saudi Arabia and Indonesia could also adopt this diversification of economy and support more these projects in order to stop climate change. So if you are interested in supporting to stop climate change, I think you should all vote in favor of this delegation. This resolution.
Thank you, Delegate. Now will you, Delegate, please. Delegate, please go back there. Thank you. Will you entertain any points of information?
Yes.
Any and all?
Any and all.
Delegate will now be entertaining any and all points of information. Any delegation wishing to make a point of information, please raise your placards now. I said any delegation wishing to make a point of information, raise your placards now. What a wonderful General Assembly we've got here. Okay, so since there are no points of information, Delegate, do you yield the floor back to the chair, to another delegation? Back to the chair it is. You may now return to your seat. After this speech, we will move into voting procedure. So, admins, please take your voting positions. All right, delegates, please, order. Every delegation wishing to vote for this resolution to pass as a whole, please raise your placards now. Thank you. You may now lower your placards. You may now lower your, thank you. Any delegation wishing to vote against this resolution, please raise your placards now. Thank you. And any delegation wishing to abstain from voting? Okay, thank you. With 22 votes for, 4 against, and 2 abstentions, this resolution has passed and clapping is in order. Delegates, please. Order, please. In 10 minutes, we will be having a 15-minute break. No, not in 10 minutes. Oh, not in 10 minutes. Okay, then we're going to have a 15-minute break right now, and then we'll continue to resolution number 3. Be punctual.
The talk shop is open.
Bueno, a los que le haya interés.
Nothing. Delegates. Sí, sí, sí. The talk shop is open. And please be punctual. And go outside, please.
Aguante Chile.
Hello. Whoa. Okay. Delegates.
Hola.
Hola.
Hola. ¿Me tiro un eructo? Ya. Ay, estamos en YouTube. Hola, YouTube. Diego, ponte aquí. ¿El qué? Has puesto el y yo. Tía. Es que tiene la cara perfecta, no es que es... Me encantan las sonrisas perfectas, así que te... Quiero viajar a México. Vamos a México. ¿El primo de Ateca en qué país está? Y decir, mira, di algo...
Quiero viajar a Rusia. ¡Viva Mun!
¡Viva España! Delegates, we are going to start. Please, delegates. Delegates, we are going to start. Sí, quédate aquí.
Pero yo no quiero hablar con el micrófono, ¿eh? No, ni igual.
Delegates. Please, delegates, silence. We are going to start with the third resolution, the resolution of the Youth Committee 2, the question of countries against child marriage.
This resolution is submitted by Bangladesh. Please take the floor and make a speech in favor of your resolution.
Hello. Dear delegates and esteemed chairs, child marriage is still real. 650 million women alive today were married before the age of 18. What is more, in 2016, another 5.6 million girls under 18 became child brides. Child marriage is a violation of child protection and human rights. Many factors lead to this type of marriage, ranging from financial or food insecurity to cultural or social traditions. Whatever the cause, child marriage is an attack on the development of young women, and it limits their opportunities in life. Until now, the global effort to fight against this issue has prevented about 25 million child marriages in the last 10 years. However, we strongly believe more needs to be done if we want to eliminate child marriage before 2030. In this resolution, we have proposed several operative clauses, which may suppose a step forward in the fight against this cruel reality of lots of young women. Therefore, we encourage all the delegations in this conference to vote in favor of our resolution. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you. Is the delegate open to any points of information?
No.
Does the delegate wish to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegation?
Another delegation, the UK.
Does the UK accept the yield? You may take the floor.
Fellow delegates and distinguished guests, the delegate of United Kingdom would like to encourage all countries to vote in favor of the resolution submitted by Bangladesh, as child marriage is becoming a very serious an extreme issue, which not only limits the basic liberties of human beings, but also harms society itself. In addition, there is no doubt that vast majority of child marriage are mandatory. This fact damages the basic rights of children, which should always be respected. Thank you.
Does the delegate open himself up to any points of information?
Yes, only one.
Is there a point of information in the House? This will be coming from Chris.
How is the delegate of UK is going to apply these measures to the Islamic conflict?
Well, we don't really know what we're going to do. What Bangladesh will start giving some rules, and we will follow it.
Does the delegate wish to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegate?
We will want to give another question. To Niger.
Who?
To Niger.
Niger, do you accept the yield?
No, another question.
Sorry, yes. You may ask your point of information.
Well, the delegate of United Kingdom emphasizes that nowadays the 85% of young marriages are forced. Therefore, there's still an urgent need to eradicate child marriage.
Does the delegate wish to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegation?
Back to the chair.
Thank you. The committee is now in open debate. Any delegation wishing to make a speech for or against this resolution, please raise your placards now. Euskadi, you have been recognized.
Eskerrik asko, cheers. Thank you. And thank you, delegates, for this amazing speech. Nevertheless, the delegation of Euskadi must deliver a speech against this resolution as a whole, because some points of it are just wrong. For example, in the speech delivered by the former delegate, it has been said that this marriage is a kind of binding, a binding to a man that will last forever. Nevertheless, there are also other things, other vices, other things that link people together, or even worse, that destroy the future just as that marriage. For example, smoking, alcohol. There are many more cases of smoking and alcohol and drug addiction in every country than there are of child marriage. And these, we believe, that destroy children's lives equally or even more than child marriage. Also, we would like to note that many young women marry old people voluntarily, oftentimes seeking for economic support. Nevertheless, we believe that this is not the case in most countries, but it does happen. In Spain, actually, we've seen it happen a lot. Therefore, we must know that it happens even more than child marriage, and this does not benefit the husband, but in fact, it only benefits the wife, because the husband is oftentimes much older than the wife. So yes, things can go the other way around. Moreover, we would like to know that children can be happy, and not only that, but what this resolution is intending to do is to restrict children's free will and ability to choose by illegalizing something as a marriage. Now, a marriage is just a religious act, and people, individuals, even if they are children, should be allowed to choose to marry whomever they want. Moreover, we would like to draw attention on the last point of this resolution. Last phrase. Can you please move it down? Which reads as follows: teens should receive a proper education to maintain themselves without anybody else's support. So, teens should support themselves? Are the parents not supposed to pay for their expenses and all that? So we should just leave teens out of our houses and not pay for their stuff? The delegation of Euskadi thinks this is an absolute nightmare. So, thank you, delegates, and I encourage all of you to vote against this resolution from the delegation of Euskadi. Thank you.
Does the delegate open himself up to any points of information?
Any and all.
The delegate is opening up to any points of information. Are there any in the House? This will be coming from North Korea and Greece, in that order.
Hello. Well, that's an interesting question coming from a country that is not anymore next to its southern part because of the dictatorship. Nevertheless, we will answer this question. No, I haven't finished. Thank you, delegate. So, despite the fact that geographically we are not annexed, we are an autonomous community, and the government of Spain, Pedro Sánchez, has told us to come here. So the delegation of Euskadi has come here to get children a word of liberty.
Granted.
Can the delegate rephrase the question, please? Well, if I may ask another question, is North Korea interested in expanding their empire with atomic bombs? Thank you, delegate.
Greece.
No, in fact, what we have said is we are supporting this resolution as a whole.
Does the delegate wish to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegation?
Back to the chair, thank you.
The committee is now in open debate. All delegates wishing to make a speech for or against this resolution, please raise your placards now. South Sudan, you have been recognized.
So, dear delegates and distinguished guests, don't the members present here today believe that every individual should be free to get married whenever they want and to whoever they want? The delegate of South Sudan encouraged all countries to vote against this resolution, as is it commonly known that love has no age, and therefore marriage should not be a matter of permission. Moreover, traditions should always be followed and respected as long as no one is affected by them.
Does the delegate open himself up to any points of information?
Yeah, only one question.
Malta, you have been recognized.
The country of South Sudan is aware that certain maturity is needed in order to make such decisions. However, everyone should be free to take their own decisions and take their own risks and face the consequences of their decisions.
Does the delegate wish to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegation?
Yes, back to the chair.
The committee is now open. In open debate, all delegates wishing to make a speech for or against, please raise your placards now. USA, you have been recognized.
Chair. The United States strongly believes in the importance of the principle of liberty and encourages the rest of the representatives to vote for the resolution as will make a positive impact. Children are humans and must have a quality life from the very beginning. The main problem are the interests of the families that make possible the issue, which are the ones that force their children to marry individuals that may only share no more than interests with the family, social positions, or economic growth. There's no right to choose, especially for women, which are mostly in Arabic countries treated like objects, things which they aren't. Children marriage is child exploitation behavior and is every human being's responsibility to act against so. The delegation of the US, representing one of the strongest countries of this assembly, asks for support in the clause. Thank you.
Does the delegate open herself up to any points of information?
Just one.
Are there any in the House? Jordan, you have been recognized.
Taking into account that this resolution only is forbidding one kind of marriage, doesn't the delegate of USA think that this resolution, instead of giving freedom to children, is attacking to it, to that freedom?
The delegate of the US thinks not. Thinks that every children has to have a life, has to take their own decisions, not their parents, and mostly if we're talking about marriage. Yes, we think that every child has to have their life, so we're not harming them, but we're encouraging their figure.
Motion to follow up?
Denied. Does the delegate wish to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegation?
Back to the chair.
The committee is now in open debate. All delegates wishing to make a speech for or against this resolution, please raise your placards now. Portugal, you have been recognized.
The delegation of Portugal totally agrees with this resolution because every person should decide who they want to marry with, and once they have reached the age of 18, it is evident something should be made to ensure equal opportunities for young women and to respect their choices. We firmly believe this resolution is a correct step to take in the direction of solving this issue, and therefore we encourage our other delegations to vote in favor of it.
Thank you. Does the delegate open himself up to any points of information?
No.
That would be in order. The delegate, please, delegate, stay here. Does the delegate wish to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegation?
To chair.
Okay. The committee is now in open debate. All delegates wishing to make a speech for or against this resolution, please raise your placards now. Italy, you have been recognized.
Okay, so the delegation of Italy strongly believes that it is from a paramount importance to vote for this resolution because children are still very young and non-experienced human beings, and it is important to protect them from marriage that would probably end up in domestic abuses. Children should be protected, especially women, who are the ones that are most affected from these marriages. This is why this resolution should be voted.
The delegate opened himself up to any points of information?
One.
Are there any points of information? Jordan, you have been recognized.
Is the delegate of Italy saying that only because the number of women cases of domestic abuse is bigger than men's, they should receive more protection than men?
No, this delegation hasn't said that. What I meant was that children, not depending on their gender, should be protected from these marriages that mostly, the most of them, end up in domestic abuses. But we are trying to protect children as a whole.
Granted.
But if in your last intervention, the delegate the delegate of Italy have said that especially girls should be protected, isn't the delegate of Italy contradicting himself in this answer?
Obviously not.
Does the delegate wish to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegate?
To extend points of information by 1. Is that granted?
Granted.
Thank you. Thank you for the speech, Delegate of Italy. Nevertheless, the Delegation of Euskadi again would like to pose a question. So, after a quick search in Google, you can see that I said after a quick search in Google, you can see that in 2017, a total of 115 women were reported to die due to the abuses you have mentioned. And yet, it says here in the next point that there were too few notifications because women were scared. Now, how is the delegation of Italy going to explain this? How is that delegate going to explain that he doesn't want child marriage to happen because it's a kind of abuse in a country where women are scared to say that they are being abused?
We are working on it. That's why we have recently invested 55 million euros in organizations that can encourage women to ask for help if they need it.
Motion to follow.
Granted.
Well, 55 million euros is really necessary for those organizations.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Does the delegate wish to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegation?
To a chair.
We'll be now moving on to voting procedure. Everyone wishing to vote in favor of the resolution, please raise your placards now. Admins, please. Thank you. All delegates wishing to vote against this resolution, please raise your placards now. Thank you. Everyone wishing to abstain, please raise your placards. With 22 votes in favor, this resolution has passed. Clapping is in order.
Now we will be entertaining the resolution submitted by Jordan. Please take the floor and make a speech.
Okay, so this delegate is here in the name of Jordan, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, South Sudan, Niger, the United Kingdom, Malta, Iran, and Burkina Faso to defend our resolution which would make possible that poor people have a good education in the undeveloped countries, both for males and females. We have focused on the problem of illiteracy in many countries of the League of Arab Nations. The fact is that talking only about differentiated education without even mentioning the fact that in some Arab countries there are no schools is an absolute waste of time. As the saying goes, we should not begin building the house by the roof. With this resolution, we are asking the developed country for help to develop our own schools. In this resolution, we also try to send one message. We believe that differentiated education is the best way of giving people of each gender an optimized education according to each group's capabilities. We want also to express the fact that gender differentiation does not mean the same than gender discrimination. In Jordan, for example, differentiated education is legal, and we have a 98% literacy rate in our population, including 97.2% of females. This delegate asks all the members and developed countries of the UN to keep an open mind about this question and also to think about all the people in our countries who have no access to a good educational system. If this resolution is accepted, many of them would have the opportunity to study, have a nice job, and reach a better living level.
Thank you. Does the delegate open himself up to any point of information?
Any and all.
Okay. Now we'll be entertaining any and all point of information. Please raise your placards now. Saudi Arabia and Norway, you have been recognized in that order.
Maybe the resolution is not perfect, so to make it better, this delegate invites the delegation of Saudi Arabia to make an amendment to make it better.
There are not amendments in the General Assembly. Accepted.
Which country are going to you're going to encourage to donate the 0.05 of the national GDP? Which countries are going to pay for that?
To all the countries interested of entering this, of applying this resolution. This means that all the developed countries are invited, and we ask them to accept this resolution because they would be helping to millions of children who have no access to a good education.
We will be attending another point of information, and this will come from Norway. Okay, please stand up.
It would have to be studied. No tengo nada más que decir.
Does the delegate give the floor back to the chair? Okay, granted.
okay, maybe it's not perfect, but a few hours ago it has been voted and accepted by the majority of the countries. So maybe before voting, they should have read it if it is so bad as you say, as the delegate of Norway says.
Does the delegate give the floor back to the chair or to another delegation?
I yield the floor to the Malta delegation.
Does the Malta delegation accept the guild? Okay.
Dear delegates, estimated chair, distinguished guests, the delegation of Malta is very proud of being here giving a speech. This delegation thinks that this resolution is totally magnificent and must be voted on by all of you because you are going to notice a big change for better. Thanks to this resolution, countries such as South Sudan will have the necessary security that there is not nowadays. In addition, thanks to the creation of the UN for Student Organization, students will have those necessities that are primordial for having good conditions in school. Finally, the delegation of Malta encourages all of you to vote for this resolution. Thank you.
Does the delegate open himself to any point of information?
Just one.
The delegate will be entertaining one point of information. Any delegate wishing to make a point of information, please raise your placards now. No one wants to have a point of information? No? Does the delegate give the floor back to the chair or to another delegation?
To Burkina Faso.
Does Burkina Faso accept the guild?
Honorable chairs and fellow delegates from the delegation of Burkina Faso, we would like to thank you for attending this debate. From Burkina Faso, we want to make clear that we are working so that everyone, whether male or female, can have an education, but separated, ensuring equitable and inclusive child development. On the other hand, we also want to address all the problems we have, such as the maintenance of schools or the lack of teachers. So this delegation encourages all delegations to vote in favor of this resolution.
Does the delegate open himself to any point of information?
No.
Does the delegate give the floor back to the chair or to another delegation?
To another delegation.
Who?
Niger.
Does the delegate of Niger accept the guild?
Good morning, chair people, delegates of the House. As the representative of Niger, this delegate want to say that our country, with a high rate of poverty and illiteracy, and despite the process made, it is still among the 5 countries in the world with the highest school drop rate. Because the single-sex education is a method that has been successful in other countries, our country is using this method to develop the learning of children, especially the boys, because they are the ones who are going to feed their families.
Does the delegate open himself to any point of information?
No.
Does the delegate give the floor back to the chair or to another delegation?
Yes, to Indonesia.
Point of order. This is the 4th yield in a row. This is a request to open debate.
No.
No? Okay.
We would like to speak all the signatures that we make this resolution.
To what delegation?
Indonesia.
Indonesia. Do you accept the guild?
Delegation of Indonesia wants to encourage all the member states to vote in favor of this resolution, but it also thinks that it's not only that it's important to protect single education, because men are the ones who will grow up the country and are the ones that must have a better education, because are the important ones, while women are not. So the delegation of Indonesia wants to request member states to vote in favor single education, and also wants to state that men are the real ones that need that education, while women is not necessary. In our country is also a subject known as domestic science that is applied to women, and I think that that's the solution for education, women at home and men growing up the country.
Open himself to any point of information?
Two.
The delegate has opened himself for 2 points of information. This will come from Australia and Canada.
No, like I'm aware of it, but like the delegate said, encourage and request all the member states to vote in favor, and states like an addition that would be for another resolution, because we can't submit in any amendment in the General Assembly. So to improve this resolution in another General Assembly or in the future. I think that it's not discrimination, it's reality. So it's a fact for us that men are the one important for growing a country, so are the one that will go to work, that have jobs that are important for the country, for the growth, economic growth of the country, while women are important, but it is at home with childs and other domestic issues.
Granted.
Could the delegate rephrase the question?
The delegate rephrase the question, please.
I can't hear. She doesn't speak.
Yes, delegate, speak louder, please.
Yep. Okay, the delegate of Indonesia is aware that women can also do things, can help to different things at home and out, but we think that the best way of classifying and of organizing the society is by giving men an education, a good quality education, also women, but different one, and separate one, because their future job will be different, while the men one will be more important. Also the women have an importance, but not the same cruciality as men.
Does the delegate give the guild back to the chair or to another delegation?
I give the chair to Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia, do you accept the guild?
Distinguished guests, I would like to encourage all the countries to vote in favor of this resolution, because it's very important, the single-sex education for Arab countries, because in our case, in Saudi Arabia, we don't want to use all the sources all the resources of our country, like money and that, to invest in women's education. We don't need women education. Women are only going to get home chores and that. They are only going to work at home. And men are going to do a lot of things in our country, like moving all the petrol, exporting petrol, and I think it's very important. Another thing that it's very important of the single-sex education is tackling the gay and the lesbian people, because it's a pandemic, and I think we should tackle it. Now there's like 2 pandemics in the world, the lesbian and the gay people, and the COVID-19, and I think we should kill them, all of them, because they not do anything. Like, they only procreate, and I think it's bad. And I encourage all the Arab League to vote in favor of this resolution. Thanks. Any at all?
Okay. This will come from Catalonia, Indonesia, Australia, and Jordan in that order.
Thank you, Delegate, for your speech. And this is an anatomic, biological question, if you wish. How do gay people procreate?
Oh, they can't.
So, motion to follow up.
Yeah.
The delegate explicitly said that the only thing gay and lesbian people do is to procreate, and thereby they should all be killed. Nevertheless, how do 2 gay men procreate? This delegate does not get that.
Yes, they can. They can have like a baby with another methods, or just doesn't matter that gay people can procreate, but like making ideas to other people that they're going to enter in their mind, and that's like procreating. If I pass you the things like of gay people, like you're going to, it's going to expand. If someone starts with the gay people, later more people are going to get gay, and I think that's a bad thing. We should kill them.
Also, the delegate of Saudi Arabia think that as we are dividing women's and men's, we also have to make a different education with homosexual people, like is made with crazy people, so that we can eradicate that thoughts and change, and if not, kill.
Yeah, thank you, Indonesia, Delegate of Indonesia. Yeah, the Saudi Arabia thinks that it's not, we can't waste our money in gays. Well, we need to maintain them in schools. It's better to kill them and not to procreate. And it's better to have only 2 genders. And I think it's the best thing for the country.
Dismissed. Please stick to the topic.
Is delegate of Saudi Arabia aware that, like, half an hour ago, he said yes, no, people in our country should be able to choose. People in our country should have freedom. Have you changed your mind? Do you have like a clone?
Like, who said that?
You like half an hour ago. If you don't have permission to follow up.
Yep.
If taking into account that the delegate of Saudi Arabia don't remind saying something, don't you think that the delegate of Arabia should stop having a part in the politics of the country?
No, it's our culture. We choose our culture. If people want to choose, go to another country. In Saudi Arabia, there's only going to be one single education. It's going to be for boys and for women, nothing else. And if you want to go to another, you want to send your child to another country, go to Australia or to the USA.
We will not be attending the last question. We will move now to voting procedure. Please, admin, takes your voting. All those in favor of this resolution as a whole, please raise your placards now. lower your placards, please. Lower your placards. All those against, please raise your placards now. Please lower your placards, please. All those wishing to abstain, please raise your placards now. With 15 votes in favor, this resolution has passed and clapping is in order.
Delegates, we are going to do the gossip box, so that means
Good evening, delegates and chairpersons of the House. We are all here today to represent our countries, push ourselves in debate, and pass good resolutions. I hope to see you all. Sorry, I have a problem with my iPad. No, sorry. Advisor, delegates, and chairpersons of the House. We were all here today to represent our countries, push ourselves in debate, and pass good resolutions. Thanks for coming today. I hope to see you all in the 5th Moon Conference, which takes place 17 to 13 of January, to expand your knowledge and repeat this amazing experience with people around the world. Registration is now open and 6 schools from 5 different countries are already registered. Please see the MUN Bilbao website for more details. But if you cannot wait until then, MUN Impact cordially invites you to its 3rd Globalist Summit, which takes place at the end of July. It's a free online 3-day event with multiple workshops by students through leaders, UN and UN officials, and a special stand devoted to planning for impact and taking action. Registration is now open. Before finishing, please leave your name badges and placards on your table for us to recycle them. Please follow us in Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So now, with further ado, I now declare MiniMun 2021 closed.